Imagine having to go 9 months with no power or resources. Puerto Rico was devastated on Wednesday, September 20th, 2017, when Hurricane Maria came and they had to go 9 months without full power and resources. Throughout my speech, I will be talking about the struggles Puerto Rico has faced after Hurricane Maria, the lack of government help, statistics on other places who received better help than Puerto Rico did, and just how lethal the storm actually was that people do not know about, and Puerto Rico's worries for the upcoming season of hurricanes that may come. According to Mercy Corps, who wrote an article on this topic, they claim Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico with winds of 155 miles per hour that ripped up trees, tore down weather stations and cell towers, and ripped wooden and tin roofs off of homes. Electricity was cut off to 100% of the island, and access to clean water and resources was very limited. Puerto Rico was struggling, and they did not receive the help that they deserved. According to the article, How Trump Favored Texas Over Puerto Rico from the website Politico, they claimed Trump visited Houston twice during the first 8 days of Hurricane Harvey, but didn't visit Puerto Rico until 13 days, and that was just visiting them once. During the first 8 days of Hurricane Harvey, FEMA provided 5.1 million meals, 4.5 million liters of water, and 20,000 tarps to Houston after Hurricane Harvey. But, on the other hand, they only delivered 1.5 million meals, 2.8 million liters of water, and 5,000 tarps to Puerto Rico. Both of these places had gone through a lot and they needed help. But it is, as you guys can see, it is very unfair on the numbers that Hurricane Harvey, Texas was able to get more resources than Puerto Rico. And I just feel like that is very unfair as to why the numbers have such a huge gap when Puerto Rico actually had a worse storm statistically. So for them to receive less resources that they really needed, and they were crying for help after this incident, and did not get the resources that they deserved. And a lot of people actually do not realize that Hurricane Maria was actually the most lethal and natural disaster in at least a century. According to the article, Lessons from Maria, 1 year later, after a hurricane devastated Puerto Rico, the island is just beginning to reckon with the toll. And they claim that the final number, calculated by experts at George Washington University, was 1,000 beyond the upper estimates of Hurricane Katrina, which happened a while ago. And this may sound crazy, but almost exactly the toll of the attacks on September 11, 2001, which we all know about. It is very crazy to think that such a small place, not too known like Puerto Rico, which is an island and has very many attacks or close attacks with hurricanes and natural disasters, has made a toll of almost the exact amount of the attacks on September 11th in 2001, which we all know were terrorist attacks and was a very sad day in U.S. history. As hurricane season comes to Puerto Rico, many worry that something will happen if Puerto Rico gets hit with another hurricane. Because once something happens like this, their system, their government, their power grid is very weak. And if another hurricane were to come, they would not know what to do because they have not fully recovered from Hurricane Maria. So if another hurricane were to come, I'm not sure what they would do or what would happen to them. According to the article, Puerto Rico, 1 year later, thousands of Puerto Ricans have fled to the U.S. mainland since Hurricane Maria struck. Back on the island, many residents were faced with a long road to recovery. The power lines have been so tattered that the island could easily become plunged into darkness once again, like they did after Hurricane Maria. FEMA kept 3,000 federal employees in Puerto Rico and stockpiled water, food, tents, and other supplies in warehouses. Just in case something were to happen, they would be a little bit more prepared than they were prepared for Hurricane Maria. Puerto Rico was devastated after this hurricane, and they had to go over 9 months without full power and resources. I'm not sure if I was in that scenario, how I would be able to deal with that. And to go 9 months with not having the power and the resources that you would be usually used to must have been very hard for them, because if you couldn't shower, if you couldn't get clean water that you needed for you and your families, it would be very hard, because you would also not be able to see because of the power and the electricity that was down. So that would be very hard for them. In my essay, in my speech, I have talked about the struggles that Puerto Rico has faced. I have also talked about the lack of government help, which may have been very surprising. So I would just like to thank you guys for your time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something. Thank you.